Hello everyone, Morris and welcome to Tanks Invest. Talk about investing, finance, professional development. For today's series times only. The investment on top today will be NEO, ticker NIO. So with respect to the Q2 earnings calls expected to debut from NEO after market hours today, and I believe the timing for the earnings call is going to be somewhere around like 5:30 p.m. on Eastern time later today. In respect to the recording time of 12:40 p.m. on Eastern time, current trade like $43.60, down about 1.41% so far. So, with respect to earnings call for Q2, what are some of the metrics we have to look out for, right? So, based on the Wall Street analysts, right, some of the metrics that I've identified so far would be obviously the level of loss, right? So, with respect to just a comparison perspective on a one-to-one, annual perspective, right? So last year, with respect to a loss of 18 cents per share, Wall Street is expecting that for NEO for this quarter is going to be a loss of 11 cents per share. Okay, so with respect to the revenue, right? Talk about with respect to the last year number was 550.7 million, and they're expecting that for this year estimates should be somewhere around like 1.28 billion. So that's up about 133.3% from last year, right? So with respect to the revenue guidelines, it's basically expecting that with respect to the quarterly adjustments to be of a guidance of 1.243 billion to 1.298 billion. Okay, so obviously with respect to the first quarter, the manufacturer premium EV reported a narrow loss of 4 cents per share on revenue of 1.22 billion. So the on Q1, right, we based on our understanding, the company has beaten street expectation as its own guidance during the quarter, right? So what are some of the new additional development that we should be looking out for as well on a more of a macro perspective? One would be the NEO delivery momentum, right? Do we see a slowing down of the momentum, right? Which will see a progression of the growth going forward despite the pandemic that we've been experiencing, right? Another one we need to look out for from the management team on their verbiage, just specifically on the European expansion plan going forward, right? With respect to the Norway debut that happened a while ago, I think in May, if I'm not mistaken. How's that trending so far with some of the regulatory dynamics, but at the same time with respect to global adoptions on the European side of the house? Right. Another one would be just a product pipeline broadening, right? So we saw the launch of the first sedan, the ET7. But how's that going with respect to the massive adoptions for this obviously vehicle offering? And what are some of the speculations that we should be expecting for going forward for the product development fronts? Right. So these are some of the high level points we need to watch out for. Obviously, if there's any hindering in momentum, there's any hindering in terms of expansion, and on top of the macro concerns that have been cultivating so far with respect to the chip shortage that we experience on the semiconducting sector, that could subsequently drive some sell-off, right? But I do believe that we've been percolating around the $43 mark for quite some time now. It's a very substantive consolidation zone, the $43.03 level, right? So I'm going to take a look at the technical analysis to see how we're trending so far. Is it ideal to buy before the earnings call? I do have a relatively large position right now, 7,500 shares of NEO. So what am I going to be doing going forward? So stay tuned, stay around, let's make some money. Alright, so moving on to the technical analysis for NEO, ticket NIO. Recording time of 12:44 p.m. on Eastern Time. Current trend at 43.61, down about 1.38% so far. It seems like on the investment consensus, based on Wall Street so far, with the COVID variant news that's been percolating on the media front, is driving some sell-off, right, on top of the Chinese tension news and some other percolating news related to just potential shutdown across the world and the chip shortage news that have been kind of still enduring for quite some time now. I think it's about like 8 months of endurance around that dynamic, right? So with respect to current frame levels, despite how positive or how negative is the earnings call today, right? Ultimately, we are in the business of risk mitigation. We are not prophets. We do not predict the future. So if we leap up today, we'll break through this resistance level, the 4630, and this will be the next level of resistance that we'll potentially test. And I do foresee we might surge today, knowing the fact that we've been percolating for such a long time now. We've been just kind of comfortable trading on a sideways fashion. On top of the fact that RSI is not highly overbought or highly oversold, we just have a normalized level. Despite the MACD is looking like it could be bearish, but it's not really like a significant bearish cross section that we're forming slowly. It's just kind of hovering on a sideways fashion, which is good, right? We basically just consolidate on a comfortable level. If you look back historically, right, this is a long level that we've been enduring, right? So ever since, if you look back all the way to June 1st, all the way to today, right? So it's been kind of like a 2 months of percolations. On top of the historical levels, I would test that once on the 27th. We'll also test a bunch of times, enduring from basically February 23rd all the way to March 22nd. And if you keep going back to see, you see this is a relatively strong consolidation zone that we've been forming. So do we see another sell-off today? I think I would give that a low likelihood. I think we'll actually see the opposite. We should see some bullish momentum today. But ultimately, I'm not a wizard. I do not predict the future. But I think I will ideally maybe buy another 500 shares today to maybe build up to 8,000 shares. am comfortable with the $43 level. I think it's relatively hard to crack below the 40, knowing the fact it's highly substantive already. On top of the fact that the next level leap down would technically be 38.76. So I don't really foresee that to be happening, to be honest with you. But ultimately, we have to verify. We trust what we see in front of us, but we have to verify going forward. And it's a logical play for you to dollar cost average at the current level right now, because the all-time high it could subsequently reach to be way above the $55 level, right? My price target is 85 by year end, right? With the sector rotation that's coming, and also with respect to the COVID, being subsiding going forward, that we revive back to a normal economy with the green mandates we have across the world, both for European nations, for China specifically, and obviously for US, right, with that green emission plan that Joe Biden has proposed for us, right? So all good momentum going forward. NEO does have a unique value proposition. It does have, relatively good products that people love, right, across China. So this is just an early inning of the growth going forward. So I think right now would be ideal level $2 cost average. To recap on numbers and technical analysis, again, right, we are at a relatively comfortable level of $43, right? So if you dollar cost average at this moment wouldn't be a bad idea, actually, knowing the fact that we've been consolidating for about 6 months if you collectively combine all of those consolidation zones, right? So that's a really substantive level. $40 would be a non-substantive level, but it's a flat number that people typically want to buy at because it's a nice number to look at. But if we break the 40, we'll be going all the way to the 38.50. But ultimately, we're in a business of risk mitigation, right? So I think the current level is well mitigated in a risk perspective. So if you want to buy in today, it wouldn't be a bad idea, because long-term wise, with my price target based on my discount cash flow analysis is $85, right? And again, I'm relatively conservative in my cases and my scenario projections. But this is something will generate close to about 100% of an upside 2 times your money if you buy at the current level. Alright, so that's it for today. Respect my technical analysis on NEO to get NIO. Hopefully this is helpful into giving you that clarity, that structure into implementing the earnings call later today. But hopefully, if you have any questions, feel free to give me a shout. I'm always available for you guys to answer any questions promptly. And stay tuned for this to come up. Take care. Bye.